And it's good morning to the Gelding on Caulfield Cup Day, Gelding. You can't get any bigger day for Caulfield racing, can you?
Oh, Professor, Melbourne Racing Club's alternate day, $5 million handicap race over a mile and a half, the richest mile and a half handicap in the world, Professor. So, a novelty around the world, handicap racing, especially in these Group 1s, because they normally wait for age, and that way you get the best horses win it. But the Caulfield Cup over the last 20 years, Professor, has become a good horses race. So you don't so much get the handicappers down the bottom weights now coming in, but, you get good horses that can win carrying a bit of weight. Even though, Professor, I do like one down in the weights this year.
Well, and Gelding, it's good to see that the Caulfield Cup's back to its traditional time of racing at 5:15.
Oh, Professor, you make me giggle. You really do make me giggle. The traditional 5:15 start, eh?
Gelding, when you and I were growing up, the Caulfield Cup never started at 5:15.
Professor, you were leaving the racecourse at 5:15 after the last.
They were sweeping up the tickets, Gelding.
Oh, Professor, you'd see the emus picking up the tickets, trying to find people that had thrown away the. There's something you don't hear so much now of emus.
No, Gelding, no. There's another occupation that's gone by the board.
Oh, Professor, you never know what you earn as an emu, but it would have been very time intensive, I would have thought. But yeah, the traditional time, 5:15.
So for the viewers who don't know, Gelding, what was the traditional starting time for the Caulfield Cup?
It used to be very similar to the Melbourne Cup, Professor. About 3 o'clock. There'd be a range, it'd be 3 or 3:15 or 3:20, but yeah, and it'd be normally race 6 or something like that. But no, in their wisdom, as I said, the great Melbourne Racing Club Committee.
Oh, in their infinite wisdom, Gelding.
Oh, mate, they wouldn't want the crowd to be absent. Like, you start at 2,400 right up against all the crowd and things like that. And, of course, it wouldn't be the club trying to encourage everyone to be absolutely off their face by 5 o'clock, would it?
Well, it's to keep people at the course, Gelding.
Exactly. To give them 5 hours on the jungle juice, that won't upset any of the horses, will
it? Listen, for true punters, Gelding, it's a day that you want to avoid.
Professor, we'll be watching it from the couch. So, as I said, I could have gone to the races and gone in and had a meal and done all that and been a gorilla down before I even have a bed or a drink. So, and then to pay 3 times the amount for the drink that you can buy it for. So we might wait, Professor, and have a nice meal tomorrow.
Yeah. All right, Gelding, there's a 10-race card at Caulfield. The first is at 12:15. As we said, the Caulfield Cup at 5:15, so the races won't be finishing till near 6 o'clock tonight.
Oh, I'd be staying clear of Caulfield around about 6:30, Professor.
The tracks are good for Gelding, but I checked the Bureau of Meteorology. There's a 30% chance of showers in the southeast suburbs, which includes Caulfield. So punters should keep wary of that if any rain falls on the course. And the rail's out 3 metres. So
comes back from being 12 metres out on Wednesday, Professor. Was in the true position last week for Caulfield Guineas Day. As I say to you, here at Caulfield South, it's a little blowy at the moment. A bit of a swell. As you said, there's a chance of a few showers. I do worry what happens to the ground, and I'm sure they've given it a good water with the beautiful weather we've had the last couple of days, Professor. So, look, I'm just a bit wary on racing patterns today. And as we normally say, we'll watch the first couple of races and you might see a pattern developing. But I would imagine that this may be a Caulfield day where it's advantageous to be up on pace, Professor. Not necessarily leading, but leading won't be a bad thing if you can skip off the turn. But I'd imagine if you're sitting fourth or fifth, excuse me, Professor, could be in for a good day's racing.
All right, Gelding. Now, what are your two best bets for today's Caulfield Cup meeting?
Oh, well, Professor, look, we've got to have a bet in the main race, don't we, the Caulfield Cup? I think this is one of the better Caulfield Cups as far as being open. As I said to you off air, Professor, and sent the text through last night, I could have 10 picks this year and probably still miss it. That's such a quality field. I definitely like 4 horses. And, of course, I'm leaving out the favourite Gold Trip, Professor, which gave one of the best trials in the Turnbull Stakes, where it beat all of these horses coming from the rear. But, look, Professor, I like, without a fight, the Japanese horse Breakhouse with Damien Lane. I think he'll have it in a beautiful position. The English horse that ran second, the Gold Trip, West Wind Blows, did it hard 3 wide, can do it. But I'm going to follow Chris Waller. Heard Chris Waller being interviewed during the week, and he said Salcombe, which is race 9, number 8, Salcombe. He said this is the right horse in the right race. A beautiful third in the Turnbull Stakes. Professor, it was coming home, weaving its way in on the fence. Drops to 53.5. We have Craig Williams aboard. Hoping for a Craig Williams special type of ride, not one where we've been willowed, Professor, but one where he comes through well. You'll hear me if I've been willowed, but this is a Frankel 5-year-old gelding. A third carrying 56, drops to 53.5. Trained by the master, Chris Waller. 5 wins from 15 starts. I like it, Professor. So my tip for the Caulfield Cup will be Salcombe. But as I said, I also like a few others. And Salcombe at the $6.50 mark, Professor. You can always have a second bet. And if I was having one, I'd be tossing up between Without a Fight, Break Up, and West Wind Blows. My other bet, Professor, and more one for the parlays, of course, is Riff Rocket, horse 2, number 2. James McDonald, again, Chris Waller. This horse won at Flemington Turnbull Stakes Day by 6 lengths going away, Professor. It just put a hole in the 3-year-olds. This is a horse that I think will probably be favourite in the Victorian Derby. This is a lead-up race to it. It's had 5 starts for 3 wins, Professor. Australia's leading trainer, Australia's leading jockey. It's $1.50, but you know what, Professor? We're about trying to pick some winners for our listeners, and this is a good way to start in the parlays, I think. So my 2 picks, Professor: race 2, number 2, Riff Rocket, into race 9, number 8, Salcombe.
And you're not having a tip in race 4, Gelding, where you had some late mail yesterday from the Giraffe?
Oh, the Giraffe. Well,
he does get to some functions, doesn't he? That boy.
He's certainly not shy as our Giraffe, is he? He's everywhere. He's a little social butterfly, our Giraffe, and he doesn't mind photo shooting with some of the celebrities, Professor.
Have you noticed that, Gelding? Have you?
Oh, well, you know, he has been known, and I'm sure on Sunday he'll drop a few names, Professor. Now, I did notice the photo shoot he sent us. He wasn't in the photo with James McDonald, so he took it from afar. So I'm wondering whether James McDonald did a Damien Oliver to him and kept him at a distance.
I was just thinking it might have been you trying to get an autograph from Damien Oliver.
Yeah, well, probably wasn't the best to pull out the form guide to get an autograph from Damien Oliver, but
it was the only piece of paper you had, Gelding.
Exactly, and I've never seen Damien run so fast. I wish some of his horses have been running that fast lately.
Oh, Gelding. Yeah. Anyway, would you like to tell the listeners or the viewers the Giraffe's big tip for today's races?
Yes, the Giraffe likes race 4, number 7, Dark Halo, trained by Kieran Muses, to be ridden by McDonald. The Giraffe said he was at a function. He was at a function on Friday. He does put in some hours in the office, doesn't he?
Oh, billable hours, Gelding.
Yeah. I wonder who paid the 3 hours lunch he had on Friday. But, yes, he said McDonald said that Dark Halo, which has had one win.
Keeps winning, Gelding.
Well, it's had one run for one win, so you can't do much better than that, Professor. It was at Wyong, where it won.
The mecca of thoroughbred racing in New South Wales, Gelding.
Yeah, but look, it won by 4 lengths. He said James McDonald, and this is the Giraffe word, not mine. He did say that James McDonald said it just wins. Now, I don't know what he was on at that stage, whether it was water, coffee, or Gravitas beer, but I'm sure it
might have been a combination of all three, Gelding.
Look, I'm suggesting maybe the red wine, Professor. But anyway, we've told the listeners, and you can follow that up with Giraffe tomorrow for me.
Oh, well.
But that'll be good. But, yeah, so, look, there's a few, Professor. Couple of others we like: a Spacewalk in race 6, Gay in race 3 in Tropical Squall. But what do you like, Professor, more importantly?
All right, Gelding, I'm going to bookend the meeting. In the first race, it's a 3-year-old open race for over 1,400 metres. In that one, Gelding, I like number 1, the Instructor, coming out of barrier 6. It's had 7 starts for 3 wins and a placing. Its last start, Gelding, was a win over the distance at Sandown. It's the highest rated horse in the field. Don't forget, it was good enough to run in the Group 1 Blue Diamond in February, and it was only beaten by 2.5 lengths, Gelding. So that's really not bad form, and that's at the track. So the dangers I see are horse 2, Brave Mead, and horse 3, the stablemate KZ.
And coming from one of the hottest stables at the moment, Professor, in the Waterhouse Bot Yard. And Top Cat's down from Sydney to ride it.
Well, and Top Cat's in amazing form, Gelding. He's got a 12% win rate. Over his last 50 starts, Gelding, he's riding at 22%. So you want to be coming into a Spring Carnival Caulfield Cup meeting riding 22% winners.
As he said, he's one of the does a lot of riding for Gay, and they're on fire at the moment.
And my second bet, Gelding, is in the last race, race 10. It's a 3-year-old plus listed race over 1,100 metres. I like in that one, Gelding, horse 1, H2O.
How do you spell H, Professor?
AITCH in this respect, Gelding. H2O, coming out of barrier 2. It's had 9 starts for 4 wins and 3 placings. Its last start was a second at Morfordville in a listed race a month ago. Second up, Gelding, though, it's 1 from 1. The last time it was second up, it won a Group 3 over 1,100 metres at Flemington. So I like that form. That was in the Red Roses Stakes. It's also won a listed race and third in a 2-year-old Group 3. What I did like, Gelding, was it beat home Paris Dior by a length.
Yep.
And Paris Dior was second in the English Stakes. So that's not bad form. Now, if it can beat it home, then it's got a bit of toe. Craig Williams aboard, Gelding.
Yes.
So we're hoping for a Craig Williams double.
Oh, Professor, look, we do have a bit of fun at Craig's expense, but all that. But as a top class jockey on his day, occasionally can willow us, but let's hope today we get two magnificent rides from Craig Williams and the listeners can come home with a bit of money in their pocket, Professor.
Well, if this one gets up, Gelding, they will have a bit of money in their pocket because it's showing a starting price of $13 at the moment.
I did like the price in the paper, Professor, but there you find good horses at good each way value, Professor. So on something like this, certainly a winnable chance, but certainly,
good
would
each
be
way,
surprised if it's not top three.
Good each way value, Gelding.
Yeah.
And Richard and Chantel Jolly, a training combination that we don't mention very much on this show, but they're in career form too, Gelding. They've got a career win rate of 15%, but over the last 50, training at 24%, Gelding. That's not bad when you're sending out a runner that's going to win 24% of the races.
Oh, well, just fantastic, Professor. And, of course, when I saw the name Jolly, these are the Jollies based in Adelaide, but related to the family from one of your favourite trainers down at Pakenham.
Oh, yes.
Related to. Yes. So.
Well, it's in the blood, Gelding.
Yes. Well, the Jolly family from Adelaide and your Jolly from Pakenham was originally from Adelaide. So they know when to bring a good one over, Professor.
Well, and that's something I took notice of. The dangers in this race, Gelding, says number 5, Vivian. It's won 5 out of its last 5, so that's pretty good form. Although this is a step up in class for it. It'll be just interesting to see how it goes. And the other horse I like in this race, Gelding, horse number 6, Hypothetical.
Yep. Oh, Professor, it's that type of day at Caulfield today. Multiple chances in every race. So,
yeah. And that's why you're getting the value you're getting.
Yeah, you can't tip them all, Professor, but let's hope we've found a couple of winners for everyone.
All right, Gelding, let's turn to the Professor's Parlay.
Yes.
The last Professor's Parlay is the jury's still out on whether that's going to be a winner or not. Gregor Lumo on Wednesday ran 3rd.
Yes.
And we're still waiting for the 2 NFL matches to be decided. So, but the last time we had a completed Professor's Parlay, we got the place parlay up and it paid $6.50.
Professor, again, another collect, and as we said on Wednesday, when you're shooting at 75-80% for a collect, Professor, someone following it would be doing well. And I'm sure if you look out the front door, there should be some packages there for you.
Well, Gelding, even if that's not the case, what we should have mentioned at the start of the show, Gelding, is what could have been on Wednesday from Wednesday's meeting and Wednesday's That's Racing. You and I together tipped a combined 4 placings, so the place parlay got up, but it's what could have been. We were in every race, and a couple of them we were the bob of the head from actually winning. Yes,
Professor, it was one of those, a bet back bonus type of day. Very frustrating, Professor.
It was Gelding, especially there was a couple of rides that raised eyebrows.
Oh well, look, and again, it's a hobby horse, I know, and I'm trying to build a bridge over it. But when we do select horses for everyone, we're presuming the jockey's going to give their best and the horse is going to give their best. And sometimes the horses give their best and the jockeys do their best to try to get them beaten.
All right, Gelding.
Is that too cynical, Professor?
Well, no, Gelding, I don't think it's too cynical. All right, today's Professor's Parlay. The agreed bet of the day for you and I at Caulfield, Gelding, is race 2, horse 2, Riff Rocket. Now, we know it's short. We know that. So don't send us any messages about, we pick horses short, but we're trying to get a win for the punters.
Is that for the colt in Sydney, Professor?
Well, he might be tuning in, Gelding. He might be having a look to see what we like on Caulfield Cup Day. So Riff Rocket is the anchor leg of the parlay, and let's parlay that into the Buffalo Bills to beat the New England Patriots. The Buffalo Bills have given us a few heart flutters over the last couple of weeks, Gelding, but we're sticking with them.
Yes.
Form's good form. They're 5th in the AFC. They've won 4 out of 6, which is not bad. They're ranked 3rd in defence, only allowing 14 points per game. That's the problem for the New England Patriots. They're 15 of 16, Gelding. They're in a place that they're not they're not usually. Only won 1 out of 6. They're only averaging scoring 12 points a game. And, we've said this a couple of times about the NFL. You're not winning too many games if you're only scoring 12 points.
Exactly. You've got to have an on-fest to win, Professor.
Yeah, and the bookies agree with me, Gelding, because the line's 8.5. So it's over a touchdown.
Yeah. I'm with you there, Professor. I like both of them. And very similar to Wednesdays.
Yeah, and we'll parlay that into the Kansas City Chiefs, which we mentioned on Wednesday, to beat the LA Chargers. Kansas City first in the AFC. They've won 5 of 6, so that's great form. Their scoring's very good. Maybe not as good as previous years, but they're still scoring enough to win games. Their points differential is good. They're also not allowing a lot on defence. They only average having 14 points scored against them in a game. The Chargers, as I said on Wednesday, they're coming off a shorter playing on Monday Night Football. They've got a day less to prepare. They're 13th. They've only won 2 out of 5. Their points differential is only +3, and the bookies think it's +5.5 as far as the Kansas City Chiefs are concerned. Kansas City Chiefs at home, Gelding, very hard to beat in Arrowhead Stadium. So It's race 2, horse 2 at Caulfield today. Riff Rocket into Buffalo Bills to beat the New England Patriots, into the Kansas City Chiefs to beat the LA Chargers. Now, the win parlay, Gelding, is showing 2-1, which is not bad given that they're all very short, and the place parlay is 3-2.
Well, Professor, as we said, the objectives to collect.
Little fish are sweet, Gelding.
Well, nothing beats getting a return, Professor, than having a piece of paper.
That's exactly right, Gelding. Now, Sportsfan Radio tomorrow at the usual time of midday, not 5:15, midday.
Midday.
Yes, the traditional starting time of Sportsfan Radio, Gelding. It hasn't changed very often over, since 2007.
Yes, Professor, very, 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 very good and very sensible timing, I would have thought, 12 noon. So, unfortunately, I have a prior commitment, so it will be a scratching. But I'm sure you'll take up the giraffe for me, and I'm sure I'll be sending you some texts in some days, subject to see how the social butterflies tips go.
Exactly. And it's show number 493, Gelding. So
490.
We're not far away from the 500.
The big banner's coming out, Professor.
Oh, we'll have to do something special for the 500th, won't we?
Are we going to send our little mascot out for a run, are we?
We might have to do the 500th from the Richmond Seafood Tavern, Gelding.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, tell me a bad thing about that, Professor. The little mascot, of course, being the magistrate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Gelding, the judge.
The judge. You got to let him lead the pace. You got to let him lead the side out.
Oh, the man who thinks the jockey has nothing to do with whether the horse wins or not. Oh,
is that a small man syndrome thing with him, or what?
That's not quite fair, Gelding, because he did say it doesn't have much to do with it.
Doesn't have
very small fraction.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh, Gelding.
Sometimes you just got to say nothing, Professor.
Oh, Gelding. This is becoming a racing and comedy show.
A bit of lightheartedness, a bit of fun, a bit of banter is always good. I'm sure they'll give me the one thing about being away and a scratching. I know I'll only give a couple of points of blood.
Oh, well, Gelding, the good thing is that you can always watch it, rewatch it on YouTube, so you can see what we actually said about you.
Yeah.
It's there for all to see.
We're all to see. Professor, can I make a quick mention maybe for the listeners tomorrow?
Yes, certainly.
Maybe one at Horsham tomorrow in race 8, drop the mic. Maybe a each way type place bet tomorrow. I've got a small interest in the horse, so it'll be good to see it do well. We're drawn wide, and Horsham's a track that favours the inside runners and on-pace runners, so the pattern of racing won't suit the horse, but it's a qualifier for a $500,000 race on Oaks Day at Flemington, so that will be where the horse is going.
Well, we wish the horse good luck, Gelding, and hopefully it runs well enough so it earns some money for the owners, and also that it makes that race on Oaks Day.
Yes, well, it'd be certainly very good to do it, even though we made the race last year, Professor, and put the suit on to go out to Flemington. Oh, and the trainer decided to scratch it.
Oh, well.
Oh, well.
Well, what can we say about that, Gelding? That's racing.
That's racing.
All right. So from that's racing until next Saturday, it's good luck.
And good punting.